Okay, for this minute physics video, we'll be talking, or answering the question rather, how do entertainers break cinder blocks on a plank while lying under a bed of nails? So to start off, let's talk a bit about pressure. Pressure can be stated as a force that is spread out within a certain area. This is the biggest principle that's used in this trick and can be easily deceiving for other audiences, or even us as well. So let's pretend this is our nail bed, and each of those dots represents a nail. Because of the vast amount of nails on the nail bed, the force is spread out evenly among each nail. Since there are many points on the plank, and each single nail will not have enough force to break through the human skin, nor their tissue, this trick or scheme or stunt or whatever is proved to be harmless, quote quote. But the better way of explaining this would be through an example I made, which is the pizza example. So let's pretend that the nail bed only had one huge nail sticking out from the bottom of it. So all the energy that's transferred from the block and onto the nail bed would be going through this single nail. And that's a lot of force. All that force will be on that single nail, which will be enough to pierce through the skin of a human. However, in reality, that's not the case. In our case, our nail bed has single small nails. These single small nails don't receive as much force as these do, because these small nails are small and therefore receive a small share of the full force. That small share is not enough to break the skin. Thus, this trick is proved harmless. So to get that out of the way, let's come up with some conclusions or observations. So one clear one that we could find out is that people who have a larger physique have an advantage as they have an overall greater surface area, giving the force a full potential of even distribution. Also, the force of inertia is at play here. As Newton's second law famously states, things that stay in motion, and things that are at rest tend to stay at rest. All objects that have mass have inertia. Since the block is heavy, it tends to, remain at rest as it stays at rest. Thus, its large mass and inertia inhibits resistance to motion, causing the plank to not move too much. Also, the conversion of energy, not the conservation, but the conversion of energy, benefits the entertainer in terms of safety. As we learned in grade 10, an object set at a certain height has a gravitational potential energy. In this case, the hammer, which would be used to break the cinder block, is raised above the entertainer and is full of what we just called GPE, or gravitational potential energy. However, when the hammer is swung down to break or hit the block, that GPE is then converted into what we call kinetic energy, or KE. But even though this energy or force, or whatever we like to call it, converted, that doesn't necessarily mean it's gone. It has to go somewhere. So where is the energy, or where is the force gone? It went into here, the block. So the block, which receives all the force, is way too much for it to handle, which results in it shattering and all the block fragments falling to the ground. So keep in mind that each of these fragments is still filled with the absorbed kinetic energy. The energy falls onto the ground and is once again transferred from the block onto the ground. So now, even though this contains energy, that doesn't necessarily mean that all the original energy was absorbed into this block. As I said, this block, quote quote, was smashed because it couldn't handle as much energy. But that doesn't mean that it can transfer the unabsorbed energy somewhere else, which is the nail bed. So the remaining energy or force is released onto the nail bed. As it's released onto the nail bed's responsibility, quote quote responsibility, is to spread that remaining energy onto the nails. But as I've explained before, that shares or those small dividends of energy are nowhere near enough to pierce a human skin, which is why, though that the stunt seems dangerous, in the end it's just a whole lump sum of huge and vast energy being absorbed by a huge and vast object, leaving off little energy for the little nails, which don't go practically anywhere. Thus, this whole entire stunt looks very harmful, but in the end is absolutely safe for anyone who'd like to try it, although it's not recommended. So to conclude this video, therefore, not a lot of kinetic energy is passed into the entertainer's body, providing a safe trick for the audience, but looks dangerous. Thanks for watching.